Shalom. Shalom Kalalayim. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles of GMS that rule well, and Shalom to the elect. Alright. So I'm just going to read through this. This is, I typed it originally. When did the term white people come about? Right? Because brothers in GMS, you got to know that term white people, that's an artificial, that's a fake term, and it's pretty recent within history. All right, so I typed in that question, and I started going into Wikipedia, and I'm going to read through it. So it says white is a racialized classification of people generally used for those of mostly European ancestry. It is also a skin color specifier, although the definition can vary depending on context, nationality, ethnicity, point of view, and appearance. The description of populations as white in reference to their skin color is occasionally found in Roman ethnography and other ancient or medieval sources, but these societies did not have any notion of a white race or pan-European identity. The term white race or white people defined by their light skin, among other physical characteristics, entered the major European languages in the later 17th century, which is the later 1600s. All right, so that term white people was created in the 1600s, right? It says when the concept of a unified white achieved greater acceptance in Europe in the context of racialized slavery and social status in the European colonies. Now I'm going to jump around because there are some good points here. So let's go, hold on. Here. It says classicist James H.D. states the Greeks do not describe themselves as white people or as anything else because they had no regular word in their color vocabulary for themselves. People's skin color did not carry useful meaning. What mattered is where they lived. Now that's a footnote from the history of white people, right? I guess this is a book, but that's a good point, right? That's a very good point, right? People's skin, and that's what we always say. People bug out, but you've been as that scripture in the book of Isaiah. Right, Isaiah 25:7, and he will destroy in this mountain being America, the face, it says the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. Right? So that covering cast is that witchcraft, and all the lies that you cast over all these nations, to strip them from their identity, to basically confuse everybody, to have everybody in a Babylonian mindset, right? Melting pot. Right, so that's a very good point. People's skin color did not carry useful meaning. What mattered is where they lived. Herodotus described the Scythian Budini as having deep blue eyes and bright hair, and the Egyptians, quite like the Colchians, as dark skinned and curly haired. All right. Now here it says the term white race or white people entered the major European languages in the later 17th century. All right. Originating with the racialization of slavery at the time in the context of the Atlantic slave trade and the enslavement of indigenous peoples in the Spanish Empire. It has repeatedly been ascribed to strains of blood, ancestry, and physical traits, and was eventually made into a subject of pseudo-scientific research, which culminated in scientific racism, which was later widely repudiated by the scientific community. According to historian Irene Silverblatt, race thinking made social categories into racial truths, right? Which is lies, man. That's why the scriptures say his mouth is an open sepulchre, right? Which a sepulchre is where you would, where a loved one would, that would be their resting place, a catacomb, so to speak. You know, they would bury them in the mountain, or they would have tombs or caves, right? They didn't bury in the ground, you know, which is off anyway, right? But this man is whatever he says is death, man. It's anti the truth, right? Unless the Most High put the spirit on him to tell him himself, but that's about it, right? Bruce David Baum, citing the works of Ruth Frankenberg, states the history of modern racist domination has been bound up with the history of how European peoples define themselves, and sometimes some other peoples, as members of a superior white race. And again, that term white, this guy, I made lessons on him before. Johann F. Blumenbach, who was a German anthropologist, and among other things, that's where that's where the term really came about, because he was the one that made that whole frame, of the entire planet being divided into five groups, five different races, and he divided those races upon color. And he said that, look, white people, or he called them Caucasians because white didn't exist. He said, I'm gonna call them white because they're the most purest. See, and that's Teeman, right? So you see, Teeman does a lot of work for Esau because they're the wise men, right? And that's a devil for you, man. That's why we tell you, Jakes, man, look up the fucking word white and look up the word black and see the differences. You know, it says, Alistair Barnett argues that white identity, as it is presently conceived, is an American project reflecting American interpretations of race and history. Right. So, according to Gregory Jay, a professor of English at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, quote, before the before the age of exploration, group differences were largely based on language, religion, and geography. The European had always reacted a bit hysterically to the differences of skin color and facial structure between themselves and the populations encountered in Asia or Africa, Asia, and the Americas. All right. Beginning in the 1500s, Europeans began to develop what became known as scientific racism, the attempt to construct a biological rather than cultural definition of race. Whiteness then emerged as what we now call a pan-ethnic category, as a way of merging a variety of European ethnic populations into a single race. All right. And this is from Gregory Jay, Who Invented White People? A talk on the occasion of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, 1998. All right. So it says here, a three-part racial scheme in color terms was used in 17th century Latin America under Spanish rule. Irene Silverblatt traces race thinking in South America to the social categories of colonialism and state formation. White, black, and brown are abridged, abstracted versions of colonizer, slave, and colonized. By the mid-17th century, the novel term Spaniard or Español was being equated in written documents with blanco or white. In Spain's American colonies, African American, Native American, or Indios, Jewish or Morisco, which Morisco goes back to Moor, just another variation. All right, ancestry formally excluded individuals from the purity of blood, requirements for holding any public office under the royal pragmatic of 1501. That's when Esau got into power. All right, now let me see one sec. So this is with scientific racism, and this guy did a lesson on him, Carl Linnaeus. He was the predecessor. He kind of did a job on working about to divide nations based on skin color. But this guy, 1775, the naturalist, Johann Friedrich Blumenbach, which was a devil, all right, which is a piece of shit. You know, he came up as a naturalist, a herbalist, but then his spirit forsook it because he's a devil, right? And he began treating people, I believe, with poison, mercury, and minerals, if my memory serves me correct. But he was the one that also he was the one that divided and called white people white. So it says Johann Blumenbach asserted that the white color holds the first place, such as is that of most European peoples. The redness of the cheeks in this variety is almost peculiar to it. At all events, it is but seldom to be seen in the first. Them red cheeks, what does that mean? He knows, man. Right? The redness of the cheeks, you're not white. All right, your skin is translucent, right? Therefore, when you get timid or shy, when you get angry, when you get hot, you turn red. You know, and that's what Esau means. People say Esau means hairy. Esau means someone that goes and works, or some madness. I've seen all kinds of fucking crazy definitions. Esau, Aisha, or Aishashwa means wasted away is he, or wasted away. What is waste about you? Your pigmentation, which is a natural thing that all nations had. The Moabites had it. The Ammonites had it. Had it and have it. Some of them still do, right? But Esau lightened up a lot of the nations as well. The Ishmaelites, Elam, right? All these nations, man. It says, oh, that was the point on that paragraph. All right, so it says, like other monogenous, Blumenbach held to the degenerative hypothesis of racial origins. He claimed that Adam and Eve were Caucasian inhabitants of Asia, and that the other races came about by degeneration from environmental factors such as the sun and poor diet. And that's a devil for you, man. How is the sun a degenerative factor? That's life. That's the devil for you, man. He consistently believed that the degeneration could be reversed in a proper environmental control, and that all contemporary forms of man could revert to the original Caucasian race. And that's why it says in Revelation 20, when he's released, he shall go and deceive the nations. That's exactly what he did. He didn't just get released and say thank you, Most High, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah. He you know, and then go and hang out on a mountain or go help people. No, man, he said, oh, I'm loose. Finally, you know, let me go do that. Oh, yeah, let me go fuck up that, and let me go think of this, and let me go conceive this idea. You know, let me go cause war. Yo, man, this man's a perfect weapon, right? That was pretty much it, man. I just wanted to read on that, and that was on Wikipedia. You know, racialized classification again. This is based upon skin color, which is false. We read on that. We read in history that was never the case. You know, that was never the case, man. Anyway, Kal Halalim, La Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Racha HaKodash, double honors to the apostles of GMS that rule well and teach well, who I learned this truth from. And Shalom to you elect brothers and sisters out there. I hope you're edified. Until next time.